Hello, everybody. I am very excited to welcome you tonight. This is not exactly my welcome speech because we just have one sound check we need to do real quick. Cosy Sheridan, who you were listening to just now, can we just have a round of applause? Yay, Cosy! And the internet problems in New Hampshire, she drove to another location to get better internet. So, I mean, how
Amazing.
Co's gonna do a sound check now, so you're gonna get a little window inside. You're gonna look under the hood. So Cozy, do your sound check. Sam, take it
Looks like
away.
Cozy is muted at the moment.
Oh yes, well that would not work. I unmuted her now. Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm always getting up, 'cause I'm always falling. My heart tires of beating late some nights. Heaven isn't hiding, it's in any love calling that we will find you, and nothing will blind you from our sight. And I can walk into heaven with no one here to guide me, to see this heart inside me does not know how. And I can walk into heaven, I love you beside me, walk into heaven right now.
Thank you. So gorgeous. I don't know. I can't say anything. I just want more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Welcome everybody. Oh my goodness. Teresa Coleman Wash. Are you there?
I am here.
Are you
I am
here?
here. I'm here.
We're so happy to be here. And before we begin, let's take a moment to just acknowledge where we are doing this from. And do you want to start us off on that?
I'm happy to do
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Teresa Coleman Wash. I am the Executive Artistic Director and founder of the Bishop Arts Theater Center in Dallas, Texas. We are on the unceded land of the Caddo, Wichita, and Comanche sovereign nations. We've learned from the Caddo people whose traditional land we're on to say welcome. Naui.
Wow.
How do you say welcome? Okay.
Naui.
Naui.
Yes.
And here on Manhattan, we are on land that was taken from the Ape people. And I think we should also acknowledge that. And I know that we have people here tuning in from Maine and Alaska. So let's just all take a moment to acknowledge for ourselves that there were other people here before we were. Okay. Thank you all so much for being here. Teresa, I think you have a few words and then I'll
Yeah.
words.
So Roland, I just wanted to thank you for letting us partner with you on this. This is such a great synergy with several artistic offerings that we have here at the theater, particularly the Monologue project. So TMP is a free online resource of audition-linked monologues for women of the African diaspora. Over 30 playwrights contributed to the canon to make it available, including the very incomparable Kia Corthron, who's on here with us. It was the brainchild of Gab Cody, who's a playwright, director, and producer in her own right in Pittsburgh. So starting in October through January, we're going to be offering a workshop series targeting students of color at universities across the country, but anyone is welcome to attend. Students have lost so much in light of COVID-19, jobs, financial aid, they're battling depression and anxiety. And so we hope that this project will give them a sense of purpose and hope. Also, it's going to culminate with a showcase of monologues in February of 2021. So we're going to start in October with Frances Benson. In November, we'll have Pia Wilson to teach a workshop. We have in December, Stacy Rose, and December is to be determined. But all of this is made possible by our friends at the Dramatists Guild Fund. So I'm really excited about that. And I know, Roland, you have an announcement about the continuation of this event as well. Yes?
Yes, so, but, well, before before I do that, I have to say something. I just cannot let this moment pass without just pointing something out about Teresa Coleman Wash. She is one of those producers who I hold in such high regard. Gary Garrison, who is here, will remember that when we first came to Dallas, Texas, to do a weekend of workshops for the writers in Teresa's area, we got out of our car and we're approaching her theater, and we looked up at the marquee, and it said, Bishop Arts Theater welcomes Dramatist Guild for the weekend extraordinaire. And I just have to acknowledge that, because that to me is the most important thing when you're making theater, is that you think of it like your home, and you're welcoming people into your home. And that was so beautiful, and we felt so welcomed by you, and I continue to feel so welcomed by you, Teresa. So mwah, I love you.
To you, Roland.
So much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to have you guys here.
Oh, and what's incredible too is that the writers are so involved in the theater, and that's really why I wanted to do this. I think that with COVID lockdown, a lot of writer friends of mine were trying to do readings of new plays, and frankly, it doesn't always work to have a 7-character play done on Zoom. Sometimes it can work, but really the whole birth of this project was really my wish that writers could find a way to communicate with an audience that was more suited to the medium of Zoom. And I think that the monologue lends itself nicely to that. And so we put the call out, and we got almost 400 submissions from all over the world, as far away as New Zealand. I couldn't believe it. And what became very clear and by the way, can we just take a moment to thank all the judges? There are some of our wonderful judges are here tonight, and we couldn't have done it without you. And by the way, I just want to make a note that the judges were not just writers, they were writers, directors, and actors, because I feel that actors are especially able to judge this kind of thing. But anyway, we got so many wonderful submissions that it's just seemed obvious that this is a wonderful event. Labor Day, that's great. But we're also going to continue on the first Monday of every month throughout the rest of the year until next year's Labor Day event. We're going to do an evening of monologues where we present 5 of the writers who submitted monologues. 5 new monologues will be presented, and we will have a short discussion, like this will only be about an hour on Zoom, a short discussion of the characters in those monologues and what the characters were confronting. So really focused on the monologue as a means of storytelling. Okay, so I hope that you will participate in that. There's also one other thing that we're going to be doing, which is we're going to have a YouTube channel where everyone who submitted to this competition, everyone can, if they like, the writer can upload their monologue performed by them. So that will be a YouTube channel as well. So please come to our website, and the website is hearmeoutmonologues.com. So come to the website and investigate monologue with us, okay? Yes. Now, how is this night gonna go? All right, we've got 12 finalists. These monologues are going to be performed. Some of them are being performed by the writer. Some of them are being performed by an actor. We are very grateful to our ringer actors, some wonderfully talented actors who are joining us to do this. It is 12 monologues. They vary in length. The shortest one is about 2 minutes. The longest one is about 13 minutes. And we're going to do them in groups of 4. So we will do 3 groups of 4 monologues. And in between those groups, Cosy Sheridan will sing a song. So without further ado, why don't we have Cosy sing the first song, and then we'll get to our first monologue. Thank you very much.
You can.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you, everybody.
It's a risk and a leap, and then a hole in the net. It is a miracle you have not given up yet, and it seems to reward arrogant fools. It blows up in your face, doesn't follow the rules. Everything unravels, everything will fade. Do you love the life you made? Do you need a moment of rest? Tension holds you upright. Tension drives this song. All you do right, it means all you do wrong. All the ways you can die, and the ways you can live, and the one wrong move. It's a lot to forgive. Everything unravels, everything will fade. And do you love the life you made?
Wow.
Hey, bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Wow, that
Crying.
was amazing.
Oh my
That was
God.
amazing.
Blow me away.
That's beautiful. So important.
I need
So
a
Roland,
Kleenex.
before we get to the first monologue, can I talk about the prizes real quick for
Oh,
tonight?
yes,
Oh.
please do.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
so
I forgot. Sorry.
that's okay. So the top prize for tonight, guys, is a whopping $2,000.
Woo!
Second prize is $1,250. Third prize is $750. And a special prize will be received tonight for the most daring monologue. That gets $1,000. So all of the prizes are pre-selected by our judges just on the strength of the writing.
Mhm.
And I am so glad that you mentioned that, because it is very important for me to acknowledge that we would not be able to give this money away were it not for the August Vanderbeck Family Foundation. So thank you, August.
Yes.
Mwah.
Thank you.
So all of those prizes will be announced tonight, and the awards will come with, that prize money will come with a special plaque in the shape of an ear. Hear me now.
Nice.
Get it? So, and also, but here's the thing, guys. After each monologue, a quick poll will pop up on your screen to rate the monologue that you just heard. Whoever receives the highest score tonight will be awarded an additional $350 in cash prize. So pay attention.
Whoa.
Yes,
Cool.
pay attention. And as we say, so playwrights, as we say in the business, the check is in the mail.
We should be mute during the monologues. I'm just checking.
No, I thought the whole point was that they wanted us
No,
not to.
after, before and after
Little
we
sound.
should.
I think we're liking the sound, so let's just go with the sound.
Okay.
All right, number 2, cartoon. Yes.
Number 2, excellent. So the second monologue is Film Studies 101, written and performed by Lizzie Combs from Dallas, Texas. Take it away.
Thank you. Shit. Dr. Yang, is it possible to have an extension? No, I have my presentation ready. It's just, my laptop just started updating. No, it's never done this before. I don't, I mean, I guess I could just go without my PowerPoint, or okay, yeah, I'll just okay, yeah, here I go. Okay, so imagine there's like a picture of the persona poster. You know, the one with Liv Ullmann kind of like pulling B.B. Anderson's face back. And above that, it says Persona, 1966. And below that, it says Film Studies 101. It says Dr. Yang. Huh? Oh, I just... Well, there was a whole slideshow, but I'll just tell you about it. So I picked the Swedish psychological drama Persona, written and directed by Ingmar Bergman. That's Ingmar, not Ingrid Bergman. She's from Casablanca. No relation. Anyway, so it's about an actress who goes mute and this nurse who is taking care of her. And they go to this remote house and, well, it gets kind of crazy. It's sort of an experimental film. But the thing I want to talk about is, like, identity. So there's a Swiss psychiatrist named Carl Jung. I think I'm saying that right. Jung. And he has this idea. Sorry, my notes are on my laptop. Well, the word persona is actually a Latin word, and it means mask. So Carl Jung has this theory. We all have a persona, the face we show the world, but it's really a mask, hiding who we truly are. So Ingmar Bergman was really into this idea, and it makes sense because this is actually really interesting. He was a kid in the 1930s, and he was like totally into Hitler. And so with Persona, I should explain the Hitler thing, I guess. When Bergman was a teenager, he went to Germany for the summer, and he ended up at this Nazi rally, and he was like so into it. Like, I mean, Hitler was a really good public speaker. And Teen Bergman was like a total, fanboy for Hitler. And then Hitler, became Hitler. And Bergman was like, holy shit. Sorry, Dr. Yang. He was like, oh, dang, I was like totally into Hitler. And if I were German, I might have like been a young Nazi, which, Anyway, so Bergman got really into this idea of the persona, that we wear these masks so people don't think we're jerks or whatever, but underneath, we could be Nazis. I'm not explaining it right. So, like, for example, let's say you and your boyfriend break up, and he starts dating this other girl, and so you have to tell people like, oh yeah, she's so great, I hope they're happy, but like, no, you don't hope your ex is happy. Like, I'm a forgiving, nice person, but if he starts living his best life after we break up, come on! Don't we all like that? Don't we all want our ex-boyfriends to grow up to be losers with loser jobs and loser kids and a loser dog? But we're all forgiving, nice people on the outside. So, like, the main character of the movie, her name is Alma, which actually means soul. So you have the persona, the outside, and then the true soul. Make sense? So in the movie, Alma looks on the outside like this chill, well-behaved nurse, but then she has this like crazy sexual secret. It gets pretty weird, honestly. Most of us probably aren't hiding something as like dramatic as that, but like back to the ex-boyfriend example. Say your boyfriend starts dating wallpaper. Well, not literally. Well, okay. Sometimes I call my ex's new girlfriend wallpaper. She really has like so much in common with wallpaper. Like if you were to walk into a room with her, you'd look at the couch, look at the TV, other decor. You probably wouldn't notice her. I mean, if someone said like, hey, look at this wallpaper, you might see she isn't bad looking. You know, she might even be beautiful. I mean, if the lighting is right and the other more alluring furniture is removed. But for the most part, she's just kind of there, stuck on the wall. You know, she isn't even an interesting wallpaper. She's beige. But in the film, Bergman uses this idea to, hold on. I should say, it's not just about her looks, okay? Her personality fits the name wallpaper too. It isn't offensive, just unremarkable. She doesn't say much, she doesn't do much. She's just forgettable, ignorable. Honestly, I have nothing against being in a room with wallpaper. She doesn't bite, but if you left me in a room with nothing but wallpaper, I'd probably paint over her out of sheer boredom, and honestly, who is this? So, like, that's an example of something a person probably shouldn't say. You know, Carl Jung calls that disintegration. A crack in the mask you're supposed to wear. Like in the movie. Disintegration. Like how it feels to be dumped for wallpaper. And next is negative restoration. And that's where you try and patch up your your social reputation, which is what I would be doing if I really like actually felt that way about my boyfriend, ex-boyfriend's girlfriend. But that was an example, like in the film. I mean, no one in the film has a boyfriend. There's actually a lot of like lesbian themes. They do have mental breakdowns. Like I said, it's experimental. So that's my presentation on Jungian theory in Ingmar Bergman's film Persona. Any questions?
Very funny.
Okay.
Yay.
Whew. Gotta take a breath after that. That was amazing. So our next performance is A Good Turn by Patrick Mulcahey from Concrete, Washington. Patrick, is that the correct pronunciation for your last name? Can you unmute real quickly?
No, it's Mulcahey, but that one comes out more often than my pronunciation, so it's fine.
A Good Turn by Patrick Mulcahey Concrete, Washington, performed by Eric Michael Gillett.
You say you don't want money. Don't care about the money, correct? Relax. I'm not trying to bribe you, just understand you. Now, I don't have money. I don't own anything, technically. Okay. Silence is okay. Silence has been our friend all these years, until it wasn't. I conclude you want some satisfaction from me. Well, what form would you like that to take, if not financial? Moral? I mean, that authority has been taken away from me, as you see. No collar, no frock. Now, that's a word the newspapers love. Defrocked. Needless to say, there's no such thing. No such thing in canon law. Dismissal from the clerical state is what it's called. Which hasn't actually happened. It may not. See, this is a sort of a halfway house for priests who are betwixt and between. So how it works out in my case depends on, well, you are either misremembering or flat out misstating the year in question. See, you say you were 15. I'm quite certain you were 16. See, the church draws a line at that number. You can look it up. Canon law is online now, like Facebook. 16 is the difference between one kind of punishment, one chamber of hell, and a worse one. Now, I didn't have to look it up. I was very aware of those prohibitions. At some level, I knew I'd have to be. Another thing reporters like to say is, a boy half his age, which was never true. I was, 18 months ordained, and, oh yes, I've done the math. You were 3/5 my age. You think I'm splitting hairs, but, well, look at us now. We're almost the same age. Almost. Time seems so vast when you're young, doesn't it? Monday, Tuesday. The weekend seems so far away. Will the end of the school year ever come? Anything could happen. See, I lost that anything could happen feeling on my 55th birthday. It wasn't a flash of wisdom, just a sudden clarity that many things I thought could happen never will. It was right around when I heard from you for the first time after so many years. I wanted to respond, I did, but I was muzzled, advised not to. The church, in her great generosity, gives alms to the poor, missionaries to the heathen, and doubtful counsel to everyone else. How old, if I may ask, is your spouse, do you call him? One of the TV news reports said, said husband. Lord, even when we were young and thought anything could happen, did you ever imagine that? I mean, they didn't mention your name, of course, or his. He was lit from behind, a shadow for a mask. You couldn't make out his face. I mean, they may have disguised his voice. Still, it's not privacy, is it? That's gone. Are you happy with him? Right? None of my business. It's so new. I mean, one can't help but being curious. I mean, granted, it's not marriage in the eyes of the church, but then, well, the eyes of the church, I don't have to tell you, are chronically askew. Marry a lady Buddhist in your backyard, and Mother Church does not recognize it. But have an affair with the woman next door, and suddenly your marriage is real enough to call you adulterer. You understand me? Adultery doesn't exist outside of marriage. Adultery requires one person married and one person they're not married to. So you and your Buddhist wife are married enough to commit adultery, but stay faithful to her, and it's just garden variety fornication, not holy matrimony. I've had letters, phone calls, worse yet, unlucky encounters at the dog park. People actually accusing me of adultery. Well, it's hardly the time to school them. I avert my eyes and shrink away, a caricature of a criminal. But adultery is something you and I were never guilty of. I'm not married, not even to God, who is also a man, as the Bible tells it, or two men, father and son, so it would hardly be legit, except perhaps in California. Sorry. Nerves. I am not belittling your marriage. Far from it. I think it's wonderful. And wait till the newspapers hear that. Tormented was the word he used. Your spouse, husband. He spoke about you crying out in your sleep. About therapists you refused to talk to. Did they just ramble on then like I'm doing? You know, in the seminary, we had discussions. Endless discussions about marriage, about sex. Well, in the abstract, naturally, since the operating assumption was that none of us in the room had any experience of it. But our concept of sex was not what lay people think of when they hear the word. Now, this is something you should understand. So, what is sex? That sacred connection between a man and a woman by which the divine spark creates a new life. Not every time, no, but it must be a roll of the dice every time. You see, everything else is masturbation. Well, some form of masturbation. Whether the hands involved are your own or someone else's. Or perhaps not even your hands. And at the seminary, full of young men in their 20s, many away from home maybe for the first time, will suffice it to say masturbation led the hit parade of venial sins and confession. Men putting hands or lips or what have you on each other. I mean, no doubt it was wrong, but it wasn't sex as we understood it. And I said we, and yes, there were men like you and me. If the church makes the same rule for priests as for men who desire other men, namely a lifetime of abstinence, well, then it can't be too great a surprise that there's some, overlap. You think you're angry. I'm like a bobcat who stepped in a trap 50 years ago and gave up waiting for a feckin' savior. At this point, anyone who tried would be feckin' torn to pieces. You think you're tormented. Well, you didn't seem so feckin' tormented those 2 years we had together. if you hadn't gone away to college, what would have happened? You ever thought about that? Have you? I mean, yeah, you said I was the reason you were leaving town, but the way you said it. Like you loved me. Almost. Ah, you look like you can't decide if you want to laugh or spit. Well, either way, I won't claim there weren't other opportunities later for disgrace or disgust. But those 2 years we had were it for me. My entire experience of loving and being loved. And don't worry, I won't say that to the Archbishop or the Evening News. That's private. Nobody can take that away from me. Not even you. See, you blame me for losing your faith, you said in your letter. Well, let me tell you, that makes you the lucky one. I wish I could lose mine. Faith is not the belief in God. Everybody has that, even if they call the great thing they believe in by a different name. You know, science or nature or karma, chaos. Faith, for a priest like me, given my education, my history, my troubles, faith is the firm, unshakable belief that I'm bad. Not the worst, but doomed. I don't know what you want, if not money, which you may even get, but not from me. You can't throw me in jail thanks to that pesky statute of limitations. I'll have to laugh. In that same letter you wrote, the statue of limitations, like the Statue of Liberty's evil twin, not waving you in, but slamming the door. I'll be taken care of. I'm protected. You've done all the damage you can do to me. I mean, it's not how I imagined my golden years, but what the hell, I'm not eating dog food. So, what, do you want an apology? Well, you'll get that from the diocese if you haven't already. None will be forthcoming from me. What I can give you, and it will have to do, is this. You can hurt me. And you have. But I won't reciprocate. Only we two know which one of us was the aggressor, and I will take that to my grave. Not for the sake of your torment, if it's even real, when here you are married to a man and manifestly untormented about it. Maybe I'm the one who should demand an apology. You remember why you came to me that very first time? You thought you had a vocation, or so your mother had you believing. I looked at you across my desk and I saw me. And I thought, Lord, I couldn't save myself, but let me save this boy. So I told you no. You were too young, too stubborn and sturdy and scared of people. You were cut out for a working man's life, and no shame in that. And you started to cry, remember? You wanted it so badly. It seemed like an escape from yourself. Of course, I knew all about that. You cried the way only boys can cry. A way denied to grown men. And you leaned against me. And you were beautiful. Do you remember being beautiful? It goes away so fast. I told you I would talk to your mother, and I told her that I would try to help you. So help me God, that's what I thought I was doing that day and all the times after. I hope that's honest enough. I could have said fine and made a call or two and had you enrolled at St. Brendan's, the high school seminary. And my guess is that you'd have stuck with it too. And if you had, you'd be the one looking across this desk at me and seeing yourself. If you think about it, really, I did you a good turn.
Bravo.
Powerful,
Oh my
powerful.
God.
Wow,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazingly
Always
performed.
like-
Unbelievable.
Oh my God.
So painful.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Thank you. Thank you.
Positively
Okay.
unforgettable.
Yeah.
Okay, the next performance is You Labor, written and performed by Michael Wells Oakes from New York City.
You work, you labor, you are the laborer. You push the car up the hill, you show up at the factory for a million years, every cold fucking morning to every hot fucking night you work. And you dream. You dream so you can work. You dream so you can keep working, so you can stand to work, so you can stay fucking awake. You dream. You dream. I'm 69 years old. 69 years old. And you know how old I feel? I feel 69 years old. In every part of my body. Even the parts that are long gone, I still feel every year. I stand here in front of you, in front of whoever can hear and see me. Rafferty is my friend. Rafferty is a priest. Rafferty is my best friend, and he's a priest, and he's a drunk, and we've been each other's best friends since infancy. Even if we never knew each other or refused to really know each other, we are best friends. This morning, he parks his car on the hill outside our house, Felicia's and my and Jared's house. Felicia sees him from the kitchen, and I see him from the front window. And Felicia shouts to me, "Jimmy!" And I stand there. I see Raf get out of his car. I watch him. Felicia shouts again, "Jim, get the door." Jared, my son Jared, my son, my only son, my only child. When he came back from the service, from the war, the never-ending war, he should have never gone. He came back and he got a job at TD Bank in their support of veteran program. They were looking for veterans and he got a job in risk management, risk analysis. They gave him a title, VP of Risk Analysis Data. He looked all right. He looked like he was all right, like he was happy. I got the door. The factories closed in this town. Every factory closed. All the factories in this factory town closed 15 years ago. There were no jobs, none. I had worked at Supreme Socks Factory for 32 years, and then I didn't. What? People don't need socks anymore? I had a pension, 10 years. They expect you to die in 10 years. 10 years is a good go. 10 years is enough for anybody. Rafferty stood at the doorway. He stood there, and I stood inside, and he looked at me. He just stood there and looked at me. Earlier this morning, I picked up the paper. We still get the morning paper, the only paper. I picked it up from the front steps this morning. This article, Trump's son refused to talk to answer the congressional committee's questions. He refused. His lawyer says he doesn't have to. The committee, the congressional committee, asked him a question. He talked to his father. What was it they had said, he and his father? What was it he and his father had said to each other? He doesn't have to answer. He doesn't have to answer, and he didn't. Jared had worked at the TD Bank for a year, a full year. He was doing good. He was. He started seeing his old girlfriend, Nicole. She had 2 children by another man, and she's divorced, but he liked her, and he was seeing her, and he said he liked her. Did you ever have cancer? I'm not being a wise guy. Fucking cancer. I did. I'm a survivor. I survived. What's a lie? Anyway, but not telling the truth. You don't tell the truth, you're lying, right? You don't tell it, you're lying. Jared worked for a year. He labored. He labored at TD Bank. He went in and he worked. He was making money. He had his own apartment. But after 6 months, he said, what the hell? I don't need to live on my own in my own apartment. I could live at home. Can I live at home, Dad? And he lived here with Felicia and me. He wanted to. He worked. TD Bank was proud of their vet workers. They took his picture. They took his picture in a suit and a tie, and they put it in TD Bank. In a lot of them. They put 2 photos up. One in a suit and one in the war. When he was in the war. Right in the bank. Raph looked at me and he said, Jimmy, James, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Jared was different. I could see it. God damn, I knew. I could see it. But he kept getting up and going to work, going to work, early morning to TD Bank. Felicia had come into the living room. Felicia said, what, Raph? Jared, he said. That's all he said. And Felicia, how'd she know? How? Crumbled right down to the floor. How'd she? I know what opiates are. I have had some experience with opiates. so I know what they are. Maybe some of you know what they are too. And maybe some of you don't, maybe. One night, it was real late. I'd gotten up to take a pee, and I saw that Jared's light was on. His door was closed, and his light shone under the door onto my feet. My feet so white, blue white. Shit. I'm old. I'm old. I stood there with my blue fucking feet, and I didn't knock at Jared's door. There are lots of kinds of pain, a lot of different kinds of pain, lots of kinds. And then there's the pain of just living, the pain of living. Sometimes you feel the pain and you can let it go. After I got back from the hospital, I was clear, not one cancer cell in my body. But they said, maybe I'd have some pain. Fucking right, maybe. They gave me these pills, but I didn't. I wanted to feel it. I wanted to. I put the pills in the bathroom sink, under it, away in the back, and I felt the pain. Living. I wanted to feel it. Raph was talking. He was talking and I could hear. He was saying, yesterday afternoon, TD Bank, they let Jared go. They fired him. He was stealing money, and they let him go. Felicia said, no, he went to work. He went to work this morning. He left this morning and he went to work. Jared came back and he couldn't take the pain. He couldn't. One night, another night. I was standing outside his door and he heard me and he said, Dad? And I just stood there, looking down at my blue feet, and then I opened the door. Jared was crying. He was sitting there crying, sitting at the end of his bed. I can't go on, Dad. I can't see Nicole no more. I can't. He told me about his pain, my son. My only child, 39 years old. I'm not lying, Dad. I'm telling you the truth. I can't take it. I don't sleep no more. I haven't slept. It feels as if my body, my mind are fighting against me. My mind, my heart, taking me apart, taking him apart. It won't stop ever. He was shaking. He was crying. And I held his head against my chest, shaking against my chest. And I went and I got the pills. They were right where I left them, behind the stuff. I knew about it. And I gave him the pills. Raph was saying they found him in his car, Jared in his car by the side of the road on Gulf Creek Road. And they'd found him sooner if they had. And if someone had stopped and seen him, maybe they could have. So the truth is, I gave him the pills. I gave him the pills. And the truth is, maybe he was already taken. Maybe he was. And maybe I knew that. Maybe I knew. I didn't stop him. I didn't. He was working. He was working. You have rough times, rough spots you have to get through. And the truth is, at the Supreme Stock Factory, my dreams, all my dreams I had, all the dreams were for my son to have a good life, a better life, a life of value, a different kind of life, of value, of happiness. And I keep thinking, about that goddamn article. I keep thinking, Trump's son refusing to provide information and calling it a privilege, not speaking the truth, lying and calling it a privilege. And I feel like I could kill. I feel like I could kill. The feeling inside of me, calling it a privilege, it makes me, why does he get the privilege to lie? To lie. And I voted for Trump. We all did. We all did. Here, we all did. And I went and I pulled the lever for him. And my anger from the closed factory, from my spent pension, from my son going to war, from getting old, I pulled that lever and I gave him my anger. Take it. Take it out of me. Do what you want. I can't live with it any longer. I wanted him to do whatever he could. I gave it to him. Do whatever he wanted to do. And we went to the morgue, Felicia and me and Rafferty, because you have to go, because he was my son. And we looked. And he just left this morning for work, and now he's gone. Can you work? Do you labor? Do you show up and keep showing up every fucking morning, every hot fucking night? As I stand here in front of you, stand here. Whoever can hear me and see me. I looked at my son, my only son. I thought of his son, Trump's son, Trump and his son. And I thought, maybe he's laboring for his love. Maybe that's what he's working for his father's love. And maybe when they were on the phone, what they said, what the congressional committee wants to hear, maybe he was saying something so private he couldn't tell anyone else. He couldn't tell anyone but his father. Because sons do that. And no one else has to hear. No one else has to hear. No one. That's the truth. It's not good, but it's not a lie. It's not good, but it's not a lie.
Nice. Very nice.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Wow.
Bravo.
Jesus
Bravo,
Christ.
Thank you.
Oh God.
Wow.
Whoa.
God, Michael.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is this me? Oh, this is me. Okay. Sorry. Oh, boy.
I know, right?
Am I muted? Okay. Oh, The Sticking Point by Fran Handman. This is number 11, by the way, people. Love you. Love you all. The Sticking Point by Fran Handman from New York City. And this is performed by the fabulous Carla Brandberg. Take it away.
You know, something really weird is going on. I'm not sure what to do about it or who to call. Exactly 6 weeks ago, 6 p.m., I got stuck. Not in one spot. I got stuck on the sidewalk in front of this house. Now I'm stuck in this house. I know the exact time because I always leave work at 5 o'clock. It takes me 55 minutes to get to my stop, and then there's 3 blocks to get to my apartment, about 5 more minutes. And I was just coming home from my filing all day on my boring temp job, walking the same boring walk home thinking, what am I gonna have for supper? So I started playing a little sort of mind game, you know, just to liven things up a little. And I'm thinking, if the bus passes me before I get home, I'll get stuck wherever it passes me. No rushing or anything, just walking normally. Anyway, I'm playing this game about the bus passing me. I'm almost home. The bus passes me, okay, so game over. I keep on going home. But I can't. I'm in front of this house, and I'm trying to keep going, but I can't. There's some kind of an invisible wall, and I can't get past it. So I go back and try to retrace my steps, but when I do, there's another invisible wall at the other end of the sidewalk in front of this house. So I try to step off the curb, and I can't do that either. And the only place I can go is knock on the door of the house and hope they let me in. You know, it's getting the end of November, and it's getting pretty chilly. If I had my cell phone, I could call someone, the police, an ambulance. But do I have my cell? Nope. Of course not. It's at home. I either forget my cell at home or I can't hear it ring. And if I do, it's at the bottom of my purse. I can't reach it until it's too late. And it goes on voicemail, and I don't know how to get to my messages on voicemail. What can I tell you? I'm a cell phone failure. So I do the only thing I could do. I could see this young couple through the window eating their dinner. And I hate to interrupt, but I ring their bell. And this young guy comes and answers the door. I try to explain to him what happened. I tell him I live in the apartment building next door. He just cuts me off, tells me to go home, shuts the door. I let a few minutes go by and ring the bell again. Nothing else I could do. Much more of this cold, I'd turn into the snow lady. He comes to the door again and looks really irritated. I tell him, look, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt your dinner, but I'm really stuck, and it's getting really cold out here. Could you please just call the police or an ambulance or something who might know what to do? So he lets me in. By then, my teeth are chattering. His wife sees that I'm really cold and offers me some coffee. He goes off to make the call, and she introduces herself. Her name is Candy, short for Candace. His name is Bob. So then he comes back and says, the cops will be here in a few minutes. Before you know it, the doorbell rings. Bob opens the door, and a policeman and his partner, a woman, are standing there. They come in. They ask me what the problem is. I tell them that I live next door. They just tell me to come along with them, and they would escort me home. I wasn't going to say no. Maybe this wall thing doesn't work when the police are involved. So we start out. We get to the sidewalk, start walking to my building. They're a little ahead of me and keep going when they realize I'm not with them. I'm stuck at the wall. They look back and tell me to stop resisting them. I tell them I can't get through. The policeman, Jansky's his name, says, give me your hands, which I do. I'll pull you, and Officer Janice will push from behind. So that's what we do. Nothing. They keep pulling and pushing until I thought my arms would be pulled out of their sockets. They finally realize it won't work. So they decide to go in the other direction. And sure enough, we hit that invisible wall again. And then again, when they tried taking me off the curb. Only direction I could go in was to the house. So there was nothing to be done but have me stay in the house till they could figure out how to get me out. That didn't go over so well, especially with Candy. I can understand. It's like having a witch in your house. So Jansky offered to stay over and sleep on the couch till the next day. So it's the next day. It's me and Officer Jansky. He's a big guy, looks worn out. Big guy on a short couch. Candy and Bob have gone to work, and Jansky tells me first thing he'll walk me around outside just to see if that wall is still there. So that's what we do. Nothing's changed. I'm still stuck. He calls the precinct, tells somebody to pick up some things for breakfast for us, and asks to be replaced. So the next question is, what do I do now? I'm supposed to be at my temp job again that day, and how do I explain this to them? Jansky thinks this is funny. What are you going to tell them? So I call her, Give her some cockamamie story about a sore throat. Who knows, maybe this will go away in a day or two. Next call is Edith, to Edith, my friend in my apartment building. How do I explain how I got myself in such a fix? But I need some things if this is gonna last a while, and she has the key to my apartment. When I call her, I don't try to explain about the wall. I just say I'm staying with the people next door in this house, and I would explain later, and could you just bring me some clothes and a few other things? She just can't understand. I'm only one door away. Why couldn't I just come home and pick them up myself? I finally have to say, I just can't. Please, do what I ask. I'll explain when you get here. And if this keeps up, I still have to explain it to my daughters. Well, Margie anyway. Clarice isn't talking to me. I know how she'll take it too. There's sad, helpless mom making jokes again. Doorbell rings. It's Edith. You should have seen the shocked look on her face when she sees Jansky, policeman. She turns her back on him and whispers, "What did you do? Are you under arrest?" Jansky goes into the kitchen to leave us alone. No, I'm not under arrest. How could I tell her about this silly game I was playing? But I did. "Angie, this isn't real," she says. "Is this candid camera?" She looks around. "Am I supposed to smile or something?" Takes some doing to convince her I'm really stuck and it isn't some kind of gimmick. Anyway, in the following days, the news gets around about this woman who's stuck, me. And at first it's kind of exciting. Reporters and a parapsychologist yet. I guess that was to see if I had some kind of psychic ability to erect invisible walls. And even a NASA guy in outer space gear to see if I was a threat to the country. That's a laugh. And then comes the psychiatrist. He wants to see if maybe something I'm doing or thinking is making this happen. I tell him about my mind games and how my life is generally okay. Not much to look forward to, but I got my health, have a nice apartment, make enough to get by. And for fun, every once in a while, I take out my diamond tiara to give it some air. He doesn't laugh. He asks if I like my job. It's temp work. It's okay. The thing is, you don't stay in one place that long, and so you're kind of invisible when you're there. Pretty boring, but it doesn't tie me down, so at least I can take off whenever I want. Joke is, I don't take time off because there's always something unexpected I need money for. Like a weekend at the Hilton. Don't like to laugh at that either. So, he wants to know if I always make jokes about my life. Sure, I said. Nobody likes a complainer. Then he asked if there was anything that I ever wanted to do with my life that I didn't get to do. Yeah, I had this crazy notion. I wanted to be a writer. I even took writing class at the Y. And I would get these assignments, and then my husband would come home from work, and he'd want to go to a movie. He was the one working all day and bringing in the money. How was I going to say no? So we'd go to a movie, and I wouldn't get to my assignment, and I started falling behind, and finally I just quit. So, psychiatrist asks, "Where's your husband now?" "We're divorced." He didn't ask why. I could have told him it was nothing personal. Just didn't want to keep being married. To me, anyway. Then he says, "You have time now. You could take a class online and get back to writing." Yeah, I could. How do you do that? Maybe back then, my head, something might have come of it, but now, I don't have any idea that I would write about. Candy and Bob moved out. I wasn't going anywhere, and they wanted their own place. Edith doesn't come anymore. Margie comes once in a while when she can get away. Something weird's happening. The walls keep shifting. I can't walk out around on the sidewalk anymore, and I can't go upstairs. Even the living room's getting smaller. Good thing there's a John down here. Powder room, really. Today, someone was at the door, and I couldn't open it. I tried calling out to them. They couldn't hear me. Do you think I might be disappearing?
Nice.
That was great. Oh my gosh.
Awesome.
When I first read this little play, it's very short. It's quite amazing about something like identity, and it actually manages to say it. Whoa, amazing. And all of it encased in a nice little metaphor that sounds like Kafka's world. And then I worried, would the other people think this was an amazing play, or was it just going to be me? I'll tell you right now, we all thought it was amazing.
Woo!
And so for the wild play, here is the winner. It is Fran Handman's wonderful play, The Sticking Point. Thank you, Fran.
And the check is in the mail. The check is in the mail. Also, the ear-shaped thing that you can put on your mantle. Congratulations, Fran.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. And now we have Kia Corthron will take the floor, I believe.
Yes.
Thank you.
When I read this piece, I was absolutely captivated by the meticulous construction of authentic dialogue, subtext, and stage directions, leaving me feeling as if I could actually see the professor, the students, as well as the exquisitely imagined hapless protagonist. In a mere 3 pages, I was completely immersed in the world. I am very happy to announce the third place award is Film Studies 101 by Lizzie D.
Congratulations, Lizzie.
Loved it.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. It was a ton of fun to perform.
Oh, good. It was fun to watch you. Now we have Kate Snodgrass, I think. Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Good. Successful monologues have to do with a character wanting something and then doing something to get it. Sometimes they lead to an epiphany by the character, and sometimes we have our epiphany. In this play, in this case, the father confesses the truth of his guilt over his son's death and his grief and anger over having to keep his lie a secret, and he can't do it any longer, and that spurs the play to action. We all thought it was moving and surprising the way the father moves back and forth from the present to the past and back again with a sort of spontaneity that felt emotionally true. He took his mask off. Plus, when the father says that Trump's son may have had something personal to say to his father, in so doing, he manages to make us wonder, at least he did with me, if Trump and his son are really human after all. For some of us, that's pretty hard to believe. So I'm happy to give the award to Michael Wells-Oakes for his monologue, You Labor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Mr. Doug Wright.
Yes, what a great evening. As playwrights, I really think that we can take audiences into the very darkest alleys of human experience, and they will follow us, provided we reward them with genuine insight and some measure of unexpected but recognizable truth. Our winner does that with stunning acuity in a piece as moving as it is profoundly disturbing. He finds the humanity in a character we're only too eager to dismiss as a monster. So first prize among a host of terrific, beautifully wrought monologues tonight, gorgeously performed, The Good Turn by Patrick Mulcahey.
Yes. Yes.
Thank
you so much. Thank you.
And now I just want to say, before we go out, that I just want to remind you that we had so many wonderful monologues, and not 12 at a time, but 5 at a time. We will be doling them out on the first Monday of every month. So please come October, November, whatever. Oh, and the first Monday of November is the night before you know what. So
Oh my.
5 monologues before you pull the lever. Anyway, thank you all so much. And I would like to end the night with the unique, the incomparable Gary Garrison to take us out on a note of uplift and optimism. Or at least that's what I'm hoping he'll do. Let's see.
Thanks, Roland.
Bravo, Roland.
Oh, thank you all. Mwah.
Thank you, Roland.
Well done.
Gary, where are you?
Good evening. Woo! Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. I just want to say what an extraordinary night this has been. And for all the writers in the room, we are so happy to celebrate your amazing talent. If you've read the chat on the right-hand side of your screen as the evening has been progressing, you'll know how everyone has been marveling at your incredible storytelling. So we applaud all of you, and we are grateful for this extraordinary thing you have, which I'm going to talk about. I'm sending this message out to every writer I know. And by sending it to you, hopefully I'll hear it myself. You've been given a gift. You are a wordsmith, a word warrior. You are the brilliant developer of the dramatic idea. You have the ability to create intricate, dimensional worlds and to people them with infinitely interesting, complex beings in such a way that folks here on this tiny planet will smile wide with recognition or burst at their seams with laughter or sink a little deeper into their chairs with great sadness. You have this glorious ability to make whole groups of people think about their lives, about their loves, their relationships, their histories, their politics, and to take an action. I mean, a real action because of something that you have said or will say, that you show, you demonstrate, or illuminate in your storytelling. And that's a pretty powerful notion, no?
Yeah.
So use it. Use it however you can. And I know that's hard in this world right now, but use it. Of course, we'd all like a big old shiny, brand new production of one of our plays. Who wouldn't? And for some of us, that's going to happen when the world becomes the world again. But that doesn't mean that the rest of us can't have highly productive, creative, purposeful writers that leave a sizable footprint everywhere we step. Look, I know it's frustrating sometimes. I know you lose your direction or your passion or your purpose or your drive or your energy sometimes. I know that time is short and that money is tight and that life is hectic. And I know that the theater community is fickle and unfair and unkind sometimes. And I know that you can write for weeks or months, years with little to no recognition. But that's the price you pay for being given a gift that very few have and that so many treasure. So remember this. Most people can't do what you do. You have a gift. You are the writer, the brilliant developer of the dramatic idea. In your mind are all the solutions to the problems that I'm trying to solve in my life. So, help me out. Write your stories. Show me the way.
Oh my God. Woohoo!
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Gary.
Thank you,
Oh my
Gary.
God,
Much for
everybody.
that.
Have a great night.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Roland.
Thank you,
Thank
Roland.
you, Roland.
Oh,
Thank
wait.
you, Roland.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, my goodness.
Don't
What?
go.
We
Well, who
didn't
won
give
the?
the audience award.
I was gonna say.
The audience award.
Sam, do you have an answer for us?
Yes, it is a good turn.
A good
Two
turn.
votes.
Wow. Congratulations.
By
Get
2
even more
votes.
money. All right, let's hear some Cozy as we all walk out of the theater. Now, the exits are clearly marked. Please, single file.
Thank
Good night, everyone.
you. Good night.
Well, thank you, Roland.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thank you for
Thanks, Sam.
everything.